began in the year 2112. A blinding light fills the sky as a massive object hurtles towards Earth at an unimaginable speed. It is massive, metallic, and seemingly indestructible. It crashes. Panic ensues as people worldwide watch in horror as their televisions, computers, and mobile devices inexplicably short-circuit, their screens filled with static. Scientists from around the world race to the impact site, desperate to unravel the mystery of this strange and terrifying visitor from the unknown. At first, scientists thought it was just another meteorite, but as they studied it, they realized it was something much more extraordinary. An ancient arcade game from 1981 called Golden Defender. Baffled, confused, and desperately wanting to make sense of it, they decided to power it up. The game seemed to have a unique glow, its gold lights flickering and its rusty old speakers crackling to life. Strange energy began to emanate from the machine. Soon enough, scientists from across the globe began to notice that it was drawing aliens from across the galaxy to our planet. These demonic creatures known as mutants, baiters, landers, swarmers, pods, and bombers had traveled across the vast expanse of space to conquer our planet and subjugate its inhabitants. These extraterrestrials were not only intent on destroying humanity, they also wanted to harness the power of the legendary Golden Defender for their own nefarious purposes. As they descended upon Earth in waves, the planet's militaries were no match for their overwhelming numbers and advanced technology. The baiters, more cunning and agile than the rest, were particularly troublesome. Swarmers, small and deadly, carried an eerie sound when shots rang out, almost as if they were laughing at the pitiful efforts of the human forces. Landers, picking up civilians and turning them into crazed mutants, were a constant threat. Their relentless attacks were devastating cities, wiping out entire populations and reducing once thriving ecosystems to smoldering husks. The Earth's militaries were powerless against their pods and bombers' superior technology and cunning tactics. It seemed as though all hope was lost. Humanity's only hope lay in the hands of the one person who could master this Golden Defender and use its power to save the world. In the midst of this unimaginable devastation, there was a glimmer of hope. A small group of programmers led by Eugene Jarvis and Larry DeMar had managed to develop a powerful weapon that could harness the very essence of the planet itself, using it to fight back against the invaders, but only with the legendary Golden Defender. But who will brave this machine? Who will stand up and fight for all humanity? Could it be Mikhail or Gary? Maybe Simon or Paul will answer the call. Joe has proven himself too, and we can't forget Brian. Kai and Jay are in the running as well. This person, known only as the Chosen One, had been chosen by fate to rise to the challenge and fight back against the relentless onslaught of aliens. As the last rays of sunlight danced across the horizon, casting an ethereal glow over the once thriving cityscape, the air was thick with despair. The ground shook violently, the sky filled with fire and destruction, as if the world itself was being torn apart at the seams. Alien invaders, merciless and unyielding, had laid waste to everything in their path, leaving nothing but burnt rubble and broken dreams in their wake. Buildings crumbled like sandcastles, their skeletal remains rising like a ghastly testament to the carnage that had transpired. The screams of the dying echoed through the streets, mingling with the wailing of the survivors as they fled for their lives, seeking refuge from the relentless onslaught of the invaders. Someone had to do something. The Golden Defender beckoned to the Chosen One from afar. He muddled through the ash and stench, made his way to the Golden Defender. The Chosen One slid into the comfortable seat, his hands finding their way to the intimate controls. With a quick tap, he powered up the machine, the gold lights flickering to life around him. The game's familiar intro sequence flashed across the screen. "It's alive," he panted under his breath, with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. The Chosen One felt a pang of nostalgia. He played this game 1,000 times before. Never like this. Eugene and Larry, standing in the mist, fixated on his every move, took a deep breath and nodded when he glanced their way as if to say, "We believe in you." And so, the battle begins. In the beginning, the Chosen One fought bravely. killing with ease with a sense of taunting. He repels wave after wave of aliens with a combination of quick reflexes and strategic thinking. He learned to anticipate the movements of the baiters, to strike at the heart of Swarmer, and to use the Golden Defender's powerful smart bombs to incinerate landers before they could turn any more humans into mutants. As the waves of enemies grew more numerous, more cunning, and more deadly, the Chosen One found himself pushed to the limits of his abilities. Every battle tested his mettle, his resolve, and his understanding of the Golden Defender's secrets. But as the battles raged on, the Chosen One began to tire. His hands ached from gripping the controls, his eyes burned from staring at the screen, and his mind grew weary from the constant stress of combat. The aliens, sensing weakness, pressed their advantage harder than ever before. The waves came faster, more numerous, and more deadly. The baiters danced around the Chosen One's attacks, taunting him with their speed. The swarmers swarmed in greater numbers, their buzzing growing louder and more ominous. The landers were relentless, transforming entire cities into bases for their mutant armies. The pods and bombers struck with precision, targeting the Chosen One's most vital targets and leaving him vulnerable to counterattack. The Chosen One fought on, his fingers bleeding from the friction of the controls. His mind raced, struggling to keep up with the aliens' cunning tactics. He could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders, the knowledge that the fate of humanity rested on his every move. In the midst of the chaos, he found solace in the rhythm of the game, a dance between him and the aliens. He learned to anticipate their moves, to bait them into traps, and to strike at their weaknesses. The Chosen One's reputation spread throughout the world. He became a symbol of hope, a beacon of light in the darkness. People spoke of his bravery, his cunning, and his unwavering determination to save humanity. They sang songs about his exploits and painted murals depicting his heroic battles against the aliens. But for the Chosen One, there was no time to rest. The war raged on. He could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders, as the waves of enemies only grew more numerous, more cunning, and more deadly. The baiters danced with impossible grace, weaving through the Chosen One's defenses like phantoms. The swarmers swarmed in greater numbers, their buzzing filling the air with a constant drone. The landers transformed entire continents into wastelands, leaving nothing but death and destruction in their wake. The pods and bombers struck with precision. The Chosen One fought on, his body honed to perfection by countless hours of combat. His fingers moved with the speed of thought. His eyes could see the patterns in the chaos. He was no longer just a man, but a living legend, a symbol of humanity's determination to survive against all odds. Even he could not fight forever. The weight of the war, of every life that depended on him, began to take its toll. All of a sudden, the 253rd wave crashed upon him, a relentless tide of baiters, mutants, swarmers, landers, pods, and bombers. The Chosen One fought with a desperate fury, his every move calculated and precise. He knew that this was it, the final waves before the aliens would flee, and the world would have a chance to breathe again. The battle raged on for what felt like an eternity. The air was thick with the stench of burning metal and spilled alien blood. 254. The Chosen One's fingers danced across the controls, his mind a whirlwind of tactics and strategies. With every successful strike, he felt a surge of hope course through his veins. Just then, in a surreal moment, he looked up at the sky, a somber mix of crimson and orange as the sun dipped below the horizon, signifying the beginning of the end. The final wave of the final battle, Wave 255, was about to engulf him, and with it, the fate of the entire human race would be decided. The enemy gathered together in one last showdown, emerging from the horizon like a horrific nightmare brought to life. They closed in on the Chosen One with a ferocity that defied description. He felt a sense of calm wash over him, knowing that this was the moment he had been training for his entire life. Reversing, he steeled himself, drew a deep breath, and began to fight. The final epic battle between the Chosen One and the forces of darkness raged on, a chaotic ballet of pure violence. Baiters, laser-focused. Swarmers concerted all firepower in a barrage of bullets. Landers from the bottom, mutants from the top, pods and bombers behind. Bombarded from all sides with no other option, he hyperspaced just at moment's demise, chancing the very existence of humanity. He warps in unharmed and just behind the aliens. With one final tactic quickly and without pause, Smart bombs the massive onslaught.
Goldilocks.
Wave 255 is over. Wave 1 glows in a single crimson number. The Chosen One let out a shuddering breath, his shoulders slumping for the first time in what seemed like years. Around him, the remnants of the battlefield lay strewn with the twisted wreckage of ships and the lifeless husks of aliens. But even as he basked in the brief moment of victory, he knew that the respite would be short-lived. As if on cue, a distant rumble echoed through the sky. The Chosen One looked up, his heart sinking. The aliens were retreating, fleeing back to their home world. The Chosen One climbed wearily from the remains of his golden defender, his body aching from the countless battles he'd fought. He surveyed the devastation around him. The charred earth and metal were all that remained of a once thriving cities. The survivors, few in number and haggard from the ordeal, gathered around him, their faces etched with fear and hope. Before collapsing, the Chosen One bellowed, "Let's save the humans!"